Hello everyone, this is Schism here. I got a 2,500 point battle report in my Skaven versus some Ogre Kingdoms. Starting off on my opponent's far right, he has a Meow Meow Kitty in the trees there, hiding out behind the foliage. To the left of him is 18 Iron Guts. That unit's rocking the standard of discipline. Tucked away on the far left corner, there is an Ogre Tyrant with an Ogre Blade, Armor of Fortune, and an Iron Fist. Also in that unit, there is a BSB with the Armor of Silvered Steel, Luck Stone, and a Great Weapon. So a giant horde of ogres, that's a lot of fun for him, not so much for me. So I'm not looking forward to facing off against that. So I'm going to play the avoidance game as best I can and try and get points wherever else I can. And this is the whatever else I can part of his army. There is 5 lead belchers, and then to the left of that there is 9 bulls, and in that unit there's a level 4 slaughter master with talisman of endurance and an iron fist. For spells he rolled up Toothcracker, Bull Gorger, Troll Guts, and Spine Marrow. They're all close combat spells. They're all short range buffs pretty much, so I don't have to worry about his magic too much until we get into some serious close combat. To the left of that unit is 2 Mournfang Cavalry. To the left of them is the big Iron Blaster. And to the left of that, in the woods there, you can barely see him, there is a second Meow Meow Kitty. Starting off on Skaven on the far left here, I have his Doom Wheel on the flank. Next to that is a Rat Dart, just 5 giant rats and a Packmaster. To the right of that, there is 60 Plague Monks with the Plague Banner. To the right of that unit, there is 40 Storm Vermin. And in that unit, in front and center, is a Warlord, the General, on a Bone Breaker with a Talisman of Preservation, Dragon Helm, a Shield, and an Ogre Blade. So pretty durable, pretty stompy, a lot of strength 5 and 6 attacks coming out of him. So he should be able to take out any unit he gets into, as long as he can get into a unit. Also, that unit has the standard of discipline, and also in that unit is the BSB. He's rocking armored silver steel, luckstone, and a great weapon. To the right of that, the giant chaos spine beast is a hell pit abomination. To the right of him, there is 36 clan rats with shields. And in that unit, there is a level 4 with a dispel scroll and 2 warp stone tokens. For spells, I rolled up Crack's Call, Skitterleap, Warp Lightning, and Death Frenzy. Now, I wasn't too happy about this spell set at all. Crack's Call is really nice, but I got to get really close. Skitterleap will allow me to get close, but if I'm not going to try and do Crack's Call, Skitterleap's pretty useless. I'm going to have to try and neutralize those lead belches before I want to Skitterleap anywhere on this board, because those lead belches will spell death for me if I'm out in the open. Warp Lightning is always nice to have, and Death Frenzy, I'm seeing how he doesn't have that many combat blocks. Death Frenzy is not going to be too useful to me here. I'm not going to need it against the Mournfang or his other unit. And if I'm in combat with his Iron Guts, I'm going to die. So Death Frenzy unit isn't really going to do me any good. So a couple spells in here, not so great. Wasn't too happy about it, but I spent the points, and this is what I got. So I got to do the best I can. To the right of that unit, there is the Warp Lightning Cannon, and then there is a Rat Dart to the right of that. And on the far right here, you can see I put this unit way out of any leadership bubble. It's here to try and bait the ogres to go this way, the Iron Guts that is. If I can get him to go this way after this unit, it's a major win for me. If I can't, well, then I get to run around and do whatever I want behind him, which could be advantageous. And given this unit's not really, it doesn't have any value otherwise. So in that unit, there is a character. There's an engineer with a Doom Rocket. To the right of them, there is a second Doom Wheel on the far right flank here. Turn 1 goes to the ogres. He moves his Meow Meow Kitty up like so. His Iron Guts move up as fast as they can, and his Lead Belches move up as well to get some shots off. Now you can see this giant chasm, or not chasm, excuse me, this giant hill in the middle. We've ruled this as impassable terrain, which comes into huge effect in this game. Thank God for impassable terrain. That's all I have to say. But yeah, that pretty much divides the board almost in half. And considering how his Iron Guts are on one half, the majority of my army is on the other half. So here you can see his level 4 Slaughtermaster unit here making his way around the other side, accompanied by the Mournfangs and the Iron Blaster. And here you see his Meow Meow Kitty moves up to absorb some lightning shots from the Doom Wheel. In the shooting phase, the lead belches open up and eviscerate my Rat Dart here. And his Iron Blaster misfires and goes cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and spins around in a random direction, which is pretty close to the direction it was facing anyways. So in the magic phase, nothing goes off. He doesn't have much to do, considering his close range spells and all that. So turn 1 for Skaven. The Doom Wheel shambles forward like so. My Plague Monks take the hill. The Rat Dart moves up just enough so that the Saber Tusk is the closest model to the Doom Wheel, so I'm not zapping my own stuff. Here, my level 4 bails out of this Clan Rat unit and goes into the Storm Vermin unit. And I did that for one major reason, is since the Iron Guts are coming around the mountain here, I do not want my level 4 in that unit. So that unit is pretty much toast. I'm going to sacrifice it to the Gut Horde just to slow it up while the rest of my army goes around the other side. Here you can see the Hell Pit chose to go around this side, and the Storm Vermin and my Warlord move forward to take on those Mournfang. And on the far right, my useless Clan Rats here move up to try and tempt the Iron Guts to come this way and absorb their meager point value. And believe it or not, this Doom Wheel rolled an insane roll. It was in the high 15, 16 for its movement, and it actually slammed into the Meow Meow Kitty here. This is the shooting phase. My magic was very ineffective. I failed to cast the first spell, I believe, and then the Warp Lightning Cannon goes off, and I land a shot on the very back of the unit here. I managed to topple 2 Ogres with the Warp Lightning Cannon. And also in the shooting phase, this Doom Wheel zaps the Meow Meow Kitty, and then this Doom Wheel just zaps the other Meow Meow Kitty. So all the Saber Tusks have succumbed to lightning. And this brings us to Ogre's turn 2. His Iron Guts move up like so, coming around the mountain here. His Lead Belt just reformed to face my Doom Wheel to take some wounds off it. And here you can see just another view of the Iron Guts moving around the mountain here. His Slaughtermaster and company pretty much stay put. They just get a better angle. And his Iron Blaster takes the risk and plows into my Plague Monks in an attempt to slow them down. Now, pretty much what he needs to do here is, since I have the enormous amount of ranks and a banner here, he pretty much needs to roll a really good impact hit to try and win this combat. And if he can tie up this whole unit for a while. In the magic phase, he managed to get off Troll Guts, and he does so irresistibly. He does the small blast on his unit here, but he has regen and all that good stuff. So he does manage to lose 4 of his 4 wounds off the bulls here, and his Slaughtermaster takes a wound in the backlash. In the shooting phase, he manages to do one wound to my Doom Wheel, but of course I roll a 1 since I took a wound outside of combat with this thing, so it goes crazy, and it rolls in a random direction, and it rolls right in front of my Clan Rats here, and alongside the Iron Guts. In the combat phase here, I pop my Plague Banner. Why not? He's toughness 6 here, I believe, 5 or 6. Either way, I'm going to need 6s to wound him, and so any extra rolls I can get, all the better. I managed to do 3 wounds to the Iron Blaster here. He rolls terrible. I think he rolled 1 impact hit, and he failed to hit and wound with most all of his attacks. He only managed to do 3 wounds to this unit, and he loses combat. He breaks and runs, and I try and chase him down, but I don't make it. So, Skaven turn 2, I take my Warlock Engineer and I sacrifice him to the Gut Horde, and I move him like so. I do fire the Doom Rocket this turn, but I try and go after his bull unit, but I roll miserably. I roll 6 or 7 dice, and I roll all 1s or 2s in them all, so it ends up landing in the middle of that hill somewhere. But I take my Doom Wheel and I move it up and try and get through the danger. I pass my dangerous terrain test going through the woods, and I try and go at the Lead Belchers to try and silence them, because if I can get them pinned into combat, then I can start skitter leaping wherever I want. But until I can get them locked down, I don't want to skitter leap anywhere. My Clan Rats move up like so. And this other unit of Clan Rats reforms to faces the Gut Horde. Once they're done with the Engineer, they're going to need some blood. So the Clan Rats are next in line. And over here, the first thing I do is I charge my Storm Vermin into his Mornfang. He flees, so I pass my leadership test and I attempt to redirect into his bulls with his Slaughtermaster. He holds, but I fail the charge. So then I take my Plague Monks and I charge his Iron Blaster, so he has to flee automatically. And I try and take a test to pass to charge his Mornfang once again to try and get him off the board, but I fail. And so I end up failing the charge into the Iron Blaster here. And the Doom Whale just moves around like so. The problem with failing the Storm Vermin charge, as you can see here, is I pinch off my Hell Pit Abomination. So I pretty much trap him, and he can't get by, which is not good. So over here, I roll in the shooting phase. I roll to zap these lead belchers, and I roll a misfire, and I roll I'm out of control again, and I go in a ram direction, and I happen to go straight into the rear of the Iron Guts here, so that just spells doom. I was hoping with a misfire, at least I could roll in a different direction, hopefully get into lead belchers, but it wasn't meant to be. I went into the biggest, scariest unit I could. And then the Warp Lightning Cannon does what it does best, and it blows itself up. And the Doom Wheel managed to do 2 wounds with the impact hits and its attacks on the Iron Guts. However, the Iron Guts slapped the ever-loving plastic chicken out of the Doom Wheel here. So that bit the dust. So Ogre's turn 3, he charges into the Engineer, which is pretty gloomy for him. His Iron Blaster fails to rally and goes off the board, but his Mornfangs stick around. In the Magic phase, he casts Spine Marrow on his unit, and he heals up his wound. Then he goes for Toothcracker, and I don't want him having any combat buffs, so I just go and pull my Dispel Scroll out on this. And I use my other dice to stop Troll Guts. But I don't want him getting any toughness or anything like that. So in the combat here, the Warlock Engineer actually hauls off and finishes off that Ogre the Doom Wheel started, which is pretty cool. However, he just goes and obliterates the Warlock Engineer, and he reforms. Skaven turn 3, I take my Clan Rats, and I think I needed a 9 or a 10 to make this charge, and I actually make it. So that is awesome. I pin these Lead Belchers into combat. Now granted, Lead Belchers, since they're an Ogre, are superior, far superior to a Clan Rat. However, I have so many ranks, and I have a banner, I should be able to stick around here. I take my other unit Clan Rats, and I park them right in front of his Iron Guts here, ready to absorb the charge. My Storm Vermin with my Warlord, my BSB, and my level 4 go into his Bull unit. And my Monks reform to face the other way. And the Doom Wheel rolls his random movement and crashes into the Mornfang. And my Hell Pit, since there's nowhere for it to go and I don't want to crash into my own unit, I just turn it a different direction and I have it go away from the battlefield. At this point, it's just taking up space. In the Magic phase, I go ahead and put Death Frenzy on these Clan Rats to bolster their attacks. Hell, why not? Since I have so many, if I lose a few due to the Death Frenzy rule, then, you know, I think it's well worth the weight of attacks I'll be bringing down. Then I go ahead and I cast Skittle Leap, and I take my level 4 out of the unit, and I put it right here, so I can get a nice shot with Crack's Call down the Iron Guts line here. And then I go ahead and cast Crack's Call irresistibly straight through the Iron Guts, and I manage to do a total of 12 wounds, which means pretty much that 4 out of the 6 ogres I hit failed their initiative test. So 4 ogres die to Crack's Call, which is not that great when there's 18 ogres. It doesn't seem like a lot, but it definitely helps any ogres that die is a good ogre. In the Backlash, I Dimensionally Cascade, and I do not suck myself into the warp, and I don't even wound myself. So that was a good miscast. The Doom Wheel in the shooting phase here zaps off a whole entire Mornfang. In the combat over here, he does 4 wounds to me. I do 3 wounds to him. I peel a whole ogre off. I end up winning the combat because of ranks and banners and all that good stuff. And then 2 more of these Clan Rats will die to the Death Frenzy rule. I end up winning this combat, but he sticks around. Over here, I do 2 more wounds to his Mornfang. I wasn't able to finish him off, and he doesn't do any wounds to me. So he ends up losing the combat, and he flees off the board, and I just reform with his Doom Wheel. In the combat here in the center, I haul off with my Warlord and everything else I can. I do 8 wounds to his unit. I do a couple to his champion with my Warlord there, and He goes back and has only managed just to kill 2 of my storm vermin. 2 of his ogres could only attack my warlord, and he's pretty stalwart, so he didn't get much damage through. I end up winning this combat. I break him, I chase him down, and there goes his level 4 and his other unit in the game. Now, at this point, my opponent decides to call it because all he has left on the board is the Iron Gut unit, I think, at this point, and the Lead Belchers, who will slowly get grinded down by my Death Frenzied Skaven. And yes, his Iron Guts, I probably wouldn't have taken that unit out the whole game, but that was the only unit he's going to have left, and there was no way he was going to be able to skirt around this hill and soak up enough points to tilt it back in his favor. He would have crashed into the Clan Rat unit, and then he would have chewed it to all hell, and then that's the last thing he probably would have got in this game. He would have been chasing the rest of my units for the rest of the game, and there was no way I was going to try and engage that unit. So I'll take the victory when I can. So some notes here. The impassable terrain played a huge role in this game once again, just being able to split the battlefield like that. And once I saw where his big block went, then I knew where I had to go, which is exactly away from it on the other side. The doom wheels in this game were very unpredictable. What can I say? Some really bad luck with a finicky one on the far right. It just didn't really pull its weight. Yeah, it's a nice wild card, and it proved to be quite valuable on the other side, but, you know, trying to have a great performance out of 2 doom wheels is pretty tough to do. And then feeding the gut, it's just that one unit is just such a beast. You know, with initiative test is the best way to take it down. Granted, I had some, but Cracked Skull is not the best answer to a gut horde. With Skitter Leap, it is probably the best answer available, but I don't see there was any way I was with the Skaven units would have been able to topple that unit. Even with a Hell Pit, the Hell Pit would have just been grinded down by the sheer volume of attacks, especially with a Tyrant in there. That unit was going nowhere. So it just became a game of what can I feed this gut to slow it down so the rest of my army can do what it needs to do. And some Clan Rats, you know, an Engineer and some Rat Darts is exactly the answer that my army has for it. And the impassable terrain definitely helped out. So a victory to the Skaven. And one more side note is the magic is you know, one of the frustrating parts of this game is I really should have chose Plague for this just because it was a little more versatile. I highly doubt Warp Lightning or a lot of the Ruin spells aren't really effective versus the Ogres. I would rather try and lower their toughness, wither them, or do something to them other than just shoot them with some Strength 5 Lightning Bolts and Skittle Leap and Death Frenzy. Cracked Skull is a good answer, but I think the Plague would have been a better route in this game. So, victory of the Skaven. Thanks for checking it out. I'll catch you guys next time.